And a lot of you know Steve from the Portage Public Library. He's the local historian there. He's also president of the Kalamazoo Historical Society. And Steve and I have crossed paths a number of times. And the first time I think I met him officially was at the early show last year when he was dressed in his World War I uniform. His complete World War I uniform with his pack and the whole kit that goes. Yeah, I hope so, yeah. And it'll be a lot of fun if you see him there. You look for a guy in World War I uniform. So next year we want him to come back and talk about World War I and the very significant facts about World War I that relate directly to Kalamazoo. Colonel Westnedge, right? Westnedge Avenue was named after Colonel Westnedge. And the 126 Infantry, and just the tremendous impact they had on World War I. Our troops right here from Michigan. So yeah, we want to have you back next year and do that. So that'll be fun. So today we're looking at photographs. John Lacker was telling me about this earlier in the week about John Todd. And I've heard, first of all, well, he's got to be a member of the Todd family, the Todd Mint Company, right? Kalamazoo. But I don't think he's related directly to the family, but he was a significant photographer in the Kalamazoo area. And so we're going to see some really cool photos of then and now. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We also have calendars right up here. Mrs. Sadler brought these in that were printed at Portage Printing. And you're related to John Todd and a family member, really. And there's family pictures in these. So this is really cool. John's wife and family, and the children are here. And so anyway, afterwards, come up and check those out, and we'll explain those in more details. Well, anyway, help me welcome, please, with us today, Steve Rossio. Steve.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for the introduction. Just to kind of clarify who I am and what I do. About 22 years ago, I was 22 years, basically how fast time flies by. I was hired by the city of Portage to be the city historian, and I had an office at the Portage Public Library. And it was in the lower level, it held the archives, it was a fantastic job. We had the John Todd Collection, which I'll talk a little bit about in just a moment. And I began my career as the city historian. Well, after about 6 months of working at the Portage Public Library, the Portage Public Library announced that they were going to ask for district status. They would separate from the city, they would have their own governing body, and there was this big discussion about what my job should do. Should it go to the city or should it stay with the library? And the decision was to stay with the library because the city said, we don't have office space to move the archives over to us, so you will just now become an employee of the library. So I lost my status as city historian and I became the local historian employed by the Portage District Library, which was a fantastic move. I've enjoyed every moment of it. But as time has gone on, the city finally a few years ago said, you know, you've been here over 20 years, I think you deserve the status of city historian. I don't think we're going to hire anybody else, so we're going to keep you as city historian. So that's how the city historian ended up working for the Portage District Library. When I started, my first day on the job, the new director came to me and said, we have this great collection called the John Todd Photographic Collection. It's down at the Kalamazoo Museum. There was some issue where we had received the collection through John's daughter Judy had donated it. The family had donated it to the library. They decided to donate it to the Kalamazoo Valley Museum because at that time they felt that the library could not process the collection the way it should be processed. I came on board and they're like, well, maybe you should process it. Would you like to go pick it up? And I said, you bet. So I jumped in my car and drove down to the museum and they brought it out on a pallet. We loaded up the collection and brought it back to the counter to the Portage District Library. The collection is extensive. John Todd was a commercial photographer in the area. Started just before World War II, did a lot of shots that were studio shots, people and so forth. He worked his way to doing businesses. He moved up to aerial photography. Unfortunately, he passed away at a relatively young age in the 1980s. The collection consists of over 4,000 photographs that he took of the area, Kalamazoo County and the surrounding counties, and over 14,000 negatives that he took of this area. Some of them are very high altitude negatives, which I didn't put in here because they're neat, but they just don't show a lot of detail. You don't get that wow factor. But he did a lot of street scenes, just fantastic stuff. Plus, we also received his aerial cameras. So we have, I think it's 4 aerial cameras and some other equipment, and that all came to us. So just a fantastic grouping. And I've enjoyed working with it, but it's been one of those bittersweet experiences because when you work with a collection like this, I will start out with a goal. I'm going to process 10 negatives today. I'm going to scan them into the computer, and I'm going to process them. And after a few minutes, I'm lost down an adventure of, where is this photo? This is so neat. I have to figure out where this is at. And that goes down to processing 2 photos or 1 photo as I try to find things. But this right here, this is John Todd. This is John Todd sitting in the aircraft with his aerial camera. He's got his pilot there on his side. I was able to speak with one of his pilots, and they said that John Todd was a man with a passion. He wanted to achieve the photo the way he wanted to achieve that photo, and nothing was going to stop him. The pilot said he would often make 5 or 6 or 7 passes over an area so he could capture the photo just the way he wanted to capture it. John Todd apparently started out flying himself. That's what the pilot told him. The pilot said he used to fly himself. He would get to where he wanted to be. He would take a rope, tie it around the yoke of the airplane, open the door, take his picture. At one point, when he was doing this, the pilot said that the plane hit an air pocket and John Todd fell out of the plane. They said that he managed to grab the wing strut. It was a top-wing plane, grabbed the wing strut, prevented him from falling, but he lost his camera. His camera fell to the ground. After that, John Todd hired a pilot to fly. The pilot that I spoke with said that it was still scary. He said we'd go up, John Todd would tell him where he wanted to be in the shot. They would get to that point. He said he opened the door, he had a harness that he would wear so he wouldn't fall out of the plane. And he said he would lean way out and make the plane hard and he would get the shot that he wanted. And you can tell in his work that he had this passion. You know, I absolutely love it. So, let's start this adventure. Now, some of these are going to be before and after, some are just going to be before and so forth, but we're going to kind of take a journey from, we're going to show some people, then we're going to take a journey from kind of the northern part of the county all the way through the southern part of the county and just show you some of the work that he did. Okay, am I standing in your way? I can keep moving? Okay. All right. He did a lot of people. I mentioned that. He would be hired as a kind of portrait photographer. This is one of the gentlemen he photographed. Right here we see Mr. R.H. Cooey. Now, does Cooey ring a bell for anybody? Yeah, Cooey and Napper. This is Mr. Cooey of Cooey and Napper. So he was able to afford, hiring Mr. Todd to come in and do a shot. This is at his Parkwood home, which is still there. It's up on the the Westridge Hill area there, near the Upjohn School. And what's so neat is John Todd didn't really do formal photographs. He didn't just have you stand in the studio and take your picture. He did things like this. Let's put you in a chair, let's grab a book off the bookshelf. I don't even know if Mr. Cooey knew what that book was. I guess it was just a prop put in his lap. Okay, you're gonna look like you're reading, smile, we'll take a picture. And he'd do 3 or 4 until you get the right one. And this is one of those pictures right here. He did things like the Kalamazoo Chamber of Commerce, 1952. And people ask, why are photographs like this important? You know, I mean, it is a neat photograph. It's kitschy. You know, it's neat to look back to the 1950s and see these people. They're identified. So from a genealogical standpoint, that's a neat thing. If you had an uncle or an aunt or a dad or a granddad who served on the Kalamazoo Chamber of Commerce, you can find a picture of them. That's really neat. But they also show us what life was like. First of all, for those who study clothing styles, you can see what were people wearing just to an average Chamber of Commerce meeting. Suits and ties, bow ties, sweaters. But it also shows you a lack of women in the photograph. It's a very male-dominated picture. It also shows you a lack of diversity in the photograph. It's a very kind of white picture, if you will, so to speak. But then it also shows you the habits that were taking place at the time, because those discs on the table there, those aren't some fancy light or something, you know, like today's Siri thing you can talk to. They're ashtrays. You could smoke at the Kalamazoo Chamber of Commerce meeting. This gentleman right here, I think I have a laser pointer. I'm not sure what laser pointer, which is the...
It's right, it's that center button right at the top there.
There we go. I just don't want to start pushing buttons because that can have bad results. But this gentleman here, he brought his bike with him to smoke. So these pictures are great because they just give us a taste of what life was like at that time. And he captured those moments in just a natural sort of way. We also have random people that we do not know. And we are working right now with creating a portion of our website. We're revamping the Portage District Library website. One of the things I would like to have is an area where I can post pictures like this. You can go and look, and if you know somebody, you can email us or type on there, I know that person. That person's so-and-so, and here's my uncle, my friend, my brother. We have no idea where this location is. We know it's in downtown Kalamazoo. But once again, just kind of a natural pose. Who is this gentleman? Who knows? But just a neat moment captured from our history. And there are thousands of these, okay? So, let's begin our journey. And our journey today, we are going to start on Riverview Drive in downtown Parchment, Michigan. Right now, we are standing on Riverview Drive. We are looking north, up South Riverview Drive, and you can see the old Belle Isle drugstore there on the corner, the gas station. I love the service station. This is when service stations were dedicated to customer service. You look at the service station, you've got the crowns on the pumps here, it's a standard station. You've got the S&H green stamp sign out front, which if you take S&H green stamp, you can see it's just a nice service station. There to serve the car culture. And the interesting thing is when he was taking these photos, the car culture was really beginning to explode. After World War II, it began to grow, but by the 50s, man, we were a car-driven country. And this reflects in his photographs. And here we see that same location today. Belle Isle is still there. It's no longer Belle Isle. It's now a photo studio. Down here, the garage that was there, that's no longer there. The gas station's still there, but it's not the former gas station that it was. So here we have the First National Bank in Parchment. This was the satellite branch. What was happening is as the car culture allowed people to move out of the cities, you had the banks where you normally go downtown and do your banking. That was something I can remember my grandma and my grandpa always saying, yeah, we go downtown to do our banking. Well, now they're putting out these satellite branches where you can go out into the countryside and do your banking. This one right here, today you wouldn't even know that used to be the First National Bank. It's now part of a retirement community. So someone's apartment is in the old bank. I often wonder if the safe is in there. Maybe it turned into a bathroom or something. Here's another view of Parchment. We have Parchmount at Riverview. We're kind of looking southeast, if you will. That's the gas station there again. So looking at it from a different angle. You have this beautiful house. You can see the neighborhood around here. Look at the cleanliness of this gas station. Very, very clean, very organized. It's a place you want to go to have your car serviced. And now we see that same location today. Changed quite a bit. It's not terrible, but it's just not that same spit and polish it was back in the 1950s. And then once again, one last image here at Parchment. We're looking at the same kind of north direction, if you will. We're now standing right next to that gas station. You can see it a little bit more there. Once again, I love the crowns on the tops of the pumps and that. And then we have that same location today. All right, we're now going to head into the downtown. And downtown Kalamazoo had a couple really nice car dealerships. This was the Paper City Motors, which would later become Gilmore. It was right downtown on Kalamazoo Avenue. You can see that they've got the new cars in the showroom there. They've got the beautiful Christmas tree up. This is right probably, I think, December 1st. December 1960. Don't have the exact date, but pre-Christmas. Come in and buy your loved one a brand new car if you're about so inclined. And unfortunately, this went from Paper City to Gilmore, and then after Gilmore, it became, a parking lot for the city. The city right now, I believe, is planning on putting the new county courthouse on this site, so that's going to be the future site of the county courthouse, but it was Paper City Motors. Here we see another view. This is the used car lot. This is at just a bit to the west of where the other one was, on Kalamazoo Avenue. I think some people remember there. I can remember going down there. And if you look at those beautiful cars. Beautiful used cars. They're probably going to cost you maybe $1,200, maybe $2,000, and just, you see the Cadillacs parked under there, and I've talked to people about this, because one thing with car culture, I was a person who grew up in the 80s, I grew up with that kind of car culture idea, and I always hear that same argument when you talk about the expense of automobiles today and the lack of design. I mean, automobiles today are designed very well, but the artistic element of vehicles today leaves me a little bit lacking. That's me personally. You look at cars like this with the chrome and the shine and just the gorgeous nature of them. Love it. And people often say, well, a car today like this, used, is going to cost you probably $15,000, $20,000. In 1958, a car like this, it might cost you $1,200, $1,500, but that equals out to $25,000 or $30,000 today. And I did the math. It doesn't. It does. I remember there was a great Life magazine article that I read when I was younger. I think the Life magazine was 1958. And it was talking about teens in the car culture, and they were talking about how some kids go bad with their cars and so forth and so on. And I remember there was one story about a young man who wanted to buy a car. His dad took him down to a car lot. He had a whole photo spread of his dad going with him down to this car lot. And it was a used car lot, and he bought himself a 1947 Mercury two-door. 1947 Mercury two-door off this used car lot. It's 1958, so the car's 11 years old, so not terrible. The car supposedly only had 2,800 miles on it, supposedly, but, and the car was beautiful. They showed the car that they had, the article was talking about how the dad taught him what to look for when you're buying a used car, how you don't want to be taken by a used car salesman. Believe me, my grandfather was a used car salesman here in Kalamazoo. He told me some great tricks. He said, you want to make a car shine? He said, get a little lightweight motor oil in the morning. Put that lightweight motor oil on that car, and boy, that paint job looks brand new. The person buys the car, and they're not going to realize it until they're down the road and first rainstorm or, just kind of fade out. But, so he buys this car. It cost him $450 for this Mercury. And the article said that he saved that money by doing paper route for 2 years and mowing lawns over one summer. 2 years and one summer, he bought himself a beautiful 1947 Mercury. This car was gorgeous. And I look at my daughter, and I had to help her buy her first car. And her first car did not have 2,500 miles on it. Her first car had 137,000 miles on the car. Okay, and her first car did not cost $450. No, her first car cost into the thousands of dollars. And that was the best car. When you go to a car lot and the person says, yeah, the cheap ones are in the back, just go back there, there's the cheap cars. And you go back, and we got in one, she goes, I kind of like it, Dad. And we get in this car, and we shut the door, and the guy's like, she can't drive. I said, well, she's got a license, no, you have to be 18 or over to drive the car. And I'm like, well, she's fine. No, sorry. So I get in, shut the door, start the car up, put it into drive. And all I get is this, as I pull out of the lot. And we drive around the lot and back, and this car is making the most horrible sound. Bucking, it's kicking. We pull back in, and I park it, and the guy says, what's wrong? I said, I don't want to take this out on the road. I don't know what's going on with this car. It's not that bad. What do you expect for $4,500? So when I look at these pictures like this, I think there is a disconnect, and I do think that somehow we've become much distant from right here where you could go to a lot and pick a very good quality car for not much money. And this is what that spot looks like today. It's just a lot waiting. They have converted it into parking. It's just waiting now for redevelopment. So, gone is Paper City Motors. Now downtown, we have a great movie culture downtown. Uptown Theater. This is 1941 right here, so pre-World War II. Look at the neon on that building. Doesn't that just beckon you to come in and that's one thing I'm impressed by John Todd is he did do night photography. Which night photography at this time is not an easy thing to do. It's a very difficult thing to capture without getting blurry, without having stuff washed out. So he did an excellent job of doing this. This is Kalamazoo right here. This was right down here on North Burdick Street. The Uptown was a very fancy theater. And today, unfortunately, North Burdick, of course, became the mall. And then with the mall, you kind of lost business. And then eventually that location now is the rear of the Kalamazoo Valley Museum. So it's a nice location, but it's no longer the Uptown Theater. Now, we talked about car culture. We saw these new things come into Kalamazoo called auto banks. Auto banks. You could actually drive up and do your bank. Because the car industry was selling you on the idea that your car was like a living room on wheels. And when you climb in these cars from the 50s, that front seat is literally like a couch. It's amazing. Why leave your living room? Why get out of your living room and walk into a building? So we have the auto banks. These auto banks actually did not have an indoor area for patrons. You drove up. That was what it was supposed to be. This one was right down on West Kalamazoo Avenue. This picture's taken in 1962. Unfortunately, the auto bank kind of fell out of favor. People realized that maybe you need it inside and outside. And today, there's really nothing left of the auto bank. It's now part of the Kalamazoo bus terminal, railroad station parking lot, and that. So they've redeveloped into transportation related. And downtown, we also had a lot of businesses. This is the home furnishing company. I love this photo. Unfortunately, we don't have an after photo of it, but this photo was on the northwest corner of North Burdick and Water Street. This sat right in the downtown. You would be right now, you're standing right here where this couple is kind of standing. If you walk across the street, you walk across the street to Burdick. You're basically walking down the mall, and the Radisson would be right across the street. Okay, so this is, today, all it is just an empty lot. Nice green space, it's got some sidewalk, sculpture, it's just pretty, but we lost it. Now, I bring this up because when you're talking about redevelopment, what these photos show us is they show us how when you come into a downtown and you do the redevelopment, sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes not so much. You tear a building like this down, and they tore this whole block, so you lost this building, this building, this building, all of these are gone. Tearing them down, yes, they might be derelict, they might be old, but you lose a reason to come downtown. When people are walking, look at all the different, you got the furniture company here, you've got offices down here, you've got apartments above. There's a lot of reason to be downtown. There's a lot of reason to go downtown. You take this out, now you have this beautiful park. People, they don't necessarily want to drive downtown to walk into a small park. They stay where they're at. Also, if you're downtown walking, it's not real conducive to shopping because, I just don't want to walk that whole block to get to the next block to shop. I'm just going to avoid it. So there's something to be said about redevelopment. I love this picture also because I look at this couple and I often think, when this picture was taken, did they ever imagine that, about 60 years in the future, they would be up on a screen at the Gilmore Car Museum with their likeness there. It always shows you, whenever you have your picture taken, keep that in mind when that picture could be used at some point in the future. So, the good old First National Bank and Trust Company. Fantastic photo. This was taken just before Christmas. You can see they've got the wonderful Christmas decorations up here. This, of course, is, we're on Burdick Street right here. This is the mall now, so this is that one way you can go. You have the policeman standing over here directing traffic. You have the good old First National Bank and Trust with all this beautiful terracotta architecture. How many of you remember that bank? How it looked like that? Just like gorgeous, gorgeous look. Over here next to it, the Michigan Theater. Now, how many of you remember the Michigan Theater? Michigan Theater, fantastic thing. And then there's an office building next to it. And getting back to my point of what I said earlier about how when you develop, you have to be careful, is here we see the same spot today. And what happened was the bank itself gradually assimilated into Michigan Theater. They grabbed that, turned it into their loan department, and then further on they assimilated that other office building into the bank. So this whole block here becomes a bank. Not a lot of reason to walk on that side of the street. The nice thing is the people who now own this building are turning it into housing, and they're working on turning this first floor into shops again. So it'll bring back that kind of retail element, give you a reason to walk through there. But I also love this picture. You can see how they modernized. Of course, the 1970s was that great push where everything was new. Everything's clean line, get rid of that old Victorian look, get rid of that. And what they did is they came into this bank building, they said, you know what? We should tear it down. Level this building and build a brand new modern building. And when the investors looked at it, they said, holy cow, it's going to cost a lot of money. Is there anything else we can do? And they said, well, we can cover up all that old architecture. So they put these huge slabs on the outside of this building, and they covered up all that beautiful terracotta. And the people who bought this building to restore it, they decided they were going to take all those slabs off. They wanted to bring it back to what it looked like. And as they started exploring that, they realized that the way they anchored them to the building and the damage was permanent, and there was really no way of taking them off without just destroying the whole building. So it's going to stay like it is, but it just shows you those interesting changes. Now we're going to head up Portage Street. Here we see the Great Rock Drugs, okay? And once again, a fantastic neighborhood organization. A lot of times, these little businesses, they grew up in the neighborhood. And if you look at this picture, you have this beautiful tree-lined street here, you have the houses down here, it's a true neighborhood. And this business serves the neighborhood. You can go to Rock Drugs, you can get your pharmaceutical needs, you can get laundry, soap. It's like a miniature grocery store within the community. You also have the Dutch cleaners here, so you can do your dry cleaning, and that there are other buildings here on the side. Well, unfortunately, as time has gone on, the neighborhood disappeared. And what we see today, same thing, same building. Here's that little kind of pediment there, and that these offices are vacant now, so there's nothing in there. And then you have on the rocks, it's kind of changed. It's not so much a drugstore now as it is just strictly a liquor store. And if you look down the street, it just looks so sad. The other pictures kind of had a neighborhood feel. There are literally no more houses. So it shows you how Kalamazoo has evolved from a city to a suburb type of county. Here's another one of my favorites. This is McDonald's cut rate drugs. Cut rate, you know, I'm not sure if I want to buy cut rate drugs. Is that like the 50s version of generic drugs? I don't know, you know. This drug is great for you, and ours is half the price. I don't know, you know. It's half effective. You know, who knows how good, but look at the windows. I mean, they are really pushing their merchandise, you know. And this right here, it's on the northeast corner of Washington Portage. This building is still there. It's now a coffee house, so it has retained, but this is in the heart of the Washington Square neighborhood. And I will give people credit. They're really trying to bring this back to kind of a neighborhood feel, so I'm appreciative of that. Now we get into probably one of my favorites, because I grew up in Millwood. And we are at Dietrich Drugstore. I actually went to this drugstore when it looked like this. Dietrich Drugs was on Portage Street. It was right at that intersection of Portage and Cork. It was a fantastic little drugstore. You walked in the front there, it was real long. You had a soda counter on the right side, lots of wares. People were very friendly. And when you look at this picture, this is Dietrich Drugs. Next to it, we have this little storefront right here. And then next to that, you have a very small Harding's Market. And it was a very small Harding's Market. I mean, tiny. But it was a grocery store. It served the Millwood community. Here's that same building today. The shape is still there, but it has changed a lot. I think that's what I love about these pictures is we drive by this building every day. And how many of you thought that that was a drugstore? You know, with the doorway, it used to be right here. You know, it's amazing to me. The neat thing is, in Todd taking his photos, he would oftentimes take whole areas, and that's what he did right here, is he kept documenting this area. So here we see Court Street. We're looking west. So we're looking down. The paper mill would be right down the hill down here would be the paper mill. Over here, this vacant lot, that's the Court Lane Shopping Center. So just an empty lot at that time, getting ready for development. And that was one thing, is Todd was hired a lot of times to shoot sites before development, shoot sites after development and that. Here we're looking once again at that kind of Harding's Market. And then next to it, a lot of people don't realize, was the Millwood Fire Station. It's a tiny little fire station tucked right in here. We'll see another picture of it in just a moment. But I love the parking. Look at this, how slow. You have some cars parked over here on the curb, just parked. Can you imagine trying to park there today? I mean, that's what it looks like. It's insane there. I can't even walk across the street there, much less just casually park my car to walk into the grocery store. Another view of this now, we're standing in the parking lot of the Court Lane Shopping Center. We're looking back at Dietrich Drugs. So Dietrich Drugs is down here. This right here is Lover's Lane. Right there is that Harding's Market. And then there's that little fire station. It's right on the corner. Not very big. There's the one bay, just a tiny, tiny little building. And then, of course, that's that spot today. Very different. And then we have another view here. I think we have two more of this. This one right here, we're looking Lover's Lane to Court Street. So we're on Lovers right here. This is the Court Street crossover right here. Over here is where Dairy Queen is today. It was a Kalamazoo station at that time. The fire station is right here. You have this big, beautiful Victorian home and some other homes down here. And then there we see it again today. And then one last view, looking right at that Kalamazoo station, which gas stations seem to spring up everywhere. I think gas station is one of the fastest growing businesses at this time in our county. Everybody seems to open a gas station. And then there we have Dairy Queen today. Now, on the other corner, so this is on Portage Street, this is on the southeast corner of Portage and Portage Street, you have the brand new Fidelity Federal Savings and Loan going in. And this is once again back to that car culture where you start to see the banks growing out into the suburb area. And this bank right here was nice because it had indoor and it had the drive-up window, which was a very new thing. We take drive-ups for granted. Restaurants, banks, everything. Back then, that was a novel thing. And banks really wanted to kind of capitalize on convenience for their customers. They wanted to draw in your business. Plus, businesses wanted to be friends of the bank. That was a big thing, kind of quid pro quo. You know, we want your business, but then we want to be able to give you good loans. We want a good loan at a good interest rate, and so forth and so on. And you'll see that in this picture right here. This is the lobby of the bank just prior to the grand opening. And all of these beautiful flowers right here that have been dropped off, these magnificent bouquets, are all from local businesses. Welcome to the neighborhood. Thank you for moving in. We really appreciate you being here. Translated to, when we need money, it'd be great if you could give us a really good interest rate on our next loan, and look at our business as a viable a place to donate money, and so, or loan money, and so forth, and so on. So, and that bank's still there. Moving farther out, we now go to the Assembly of God Church on 3609 Portage Street. You saw little churches like this pop up within the community to serve the neighborhood. You could simply walk to the church.